93 Cadillac Allante. Here's a replacement switch assembly for the convertible top pull-down motor. It was shipped to me by the owner from Allante Source in Florida. So I want to bench test this thing before getting the car in the shop and opening the top, because if it doesn't work, it's a pain in the butt to pull back down. So let's go over what we found last time on the bad switch and see if the good switch, or supposedly the replacement refurbished switch, is going to do the trick to fix this convertible top. Alright, so what we discovered last time is when the latch assembly was up and you're closing the top, this soft top hook, you can see it's grounded, right? So it's a funky design. Whenever this hook latches to this assembly, that energizes the motor. It provides a ground path. If it was a hard top hook, which this model in 93, they took that option away, and also this hard top, soft top pull down switch, that's not in play anymore on the 93 model. That's why I was confused before. So we just have the soft top system. So let's trace the circuit and see why the old switches didn't work. So we see power coming in here, hot at all times. Then in position 2, the latch is fully up. We're worried about the pull down function of this assembly. So in position 2, the power would have to go through this part of the switch to one side of the motor, through the motor, then through this part of the switch, and looking for a path to ground on this black and yellow wire, which is then tied to right here, and the hook provides the ground. So we can keep tracing this. The current's going to go here, 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 through the hook. And what we found was, with the switch that was very intermittent, most of the time it didn't work, we did not have a voltage right here when the latch was up, looking for a path to ground. Once in a while it would come back, and then the top would actually pull down and close. So step 1, I want to check from pin A through the switch to the first side of the motor. So the motor pins, those two right there, and then it's 5 pins up here, and only pins A, B, and D are used. We're worried about pins A and B. So first I'm checking continuity from pin A through the switch to this side of the motor. So right there in pin A we have 0 ohms, so that part is good. Let me put the leads now on the other side of the motor and pin B. Alright, you guys can see the meter in the screen, so I'm going to put the probe on the other side and shift this to pin B. 0 ohms, that's great. So if we push the actual switch down, it doesn't do anything, but that switch does. So there's 2 switches here. There's 1 and there's 2. So this one, the clicky one, must be one of these, and then this one might be the other one. We can check. Let me just do a few more measurements and we'll determine which switch is which. Alright, so it's starting to make a little more sense. I moved this lead to pin A and flipped the switch down. Now it's in position 1, and now we have continuity between here and this side of the motor. Okay, so what I did was, this is the clicky switch. These two are connected. I moved it to position 1. Now we have continuity from pin A to this side of the motor. In position 1, the other side of the motor should have continuity through switch 1, through this other one, I think that's the paddle up top, to pin D. So let's relocate the pins again to here, and pin D, A, B, C, D. You can see 0 ohms. If I push the paddle down, open circuit, paddles up, continuity. If I flip the switch up, infinity. Okay, so all the switches here work in all positions. That's good. Let's install it on the car. Alright, so on the car, let's see, cover open, rear open. So pushed it up. Manually lift this up till it latches. That's good. Now we do cover open. And there is our prize. Let's swap it out. Alright, so I removed this latch assembly from the body. Now there's just one torque screw holding down the switches to the motor, I think. And this should just slip right off. There we go. There's the unit. Let's pop the new one on and hopefully it works. Alright, got the new assembly seated. Let's I'm going to install it on the body. And then we can actually do a voltage measurement with a test light to see if there's continuity. Looking for a ground, and once that hook touches this latch, it should work. Alright, so the motor assembly is installed. I want to test it right now without actually closing the top, just to make sure everything is working appropriately. So let's do that. So first thing you want to check is test light from battery ground. Is this thing trying to find a ground? So on the hot at all times wire, that's nice and bright. On the wire that's looking for a ground, yes, we do have voltage. That's good. That's what we didn't have with the old switch. So this whole latch assembly should be looking for a ground. So when this hook comes down, it should provide a ground. So let's be the hook. I'm just going to attach this to here, straight ground, and we'll see if the latch goes down. It did. Did it click the switch? I didn't hear a click. Alright, so this latch, the little clicky switch, the main one that wasn't working before, it's starting to get pressed down, so if I keep pressing it down, this thing comes back up. And then it stops. So that's good, but why didn't it click down on its own when we grounded this? Let's see. Oh, so close. Not quite. That sucker hit the stop before tripping the switch. Before clicking this. It's close. All it needs is a little bit more to make it work. So we have to adjust this. This is why I'm testing it without closing the top first. Because if we close the top and this thing pulled down without tripping that switch, we're in bad shape. This thing would have probably burnt up the motor. It's still running current. And the paddle switch is that cutoff. So when the hook is in here, let's try that. We'll flip this down. And then when you pop the top manually, this will go up and this will extend. So everything works except for this thing is not clicking the little switch on the rebuilt assembly. Alright, so I'm comparing the old and the new refurbished switch. So this is the part we're worried about, this clicky switch. So the old one, you have to push it down a little bit past halfway, and then it clicks into place. It has quite a bit of force. The new one, it's about the same, but you can see you have to go a little bit further down, and if you slowly bring it down, sometimes it doesn't even click. So normal is click. If you bring it down real slow. No click until you, there you go, then it clicked. So something in here is messed up. Obviously the refurbishing process, they just put 3 screws in here instead of these original rivets. We can take these out and see if we can slightly modify the insides, or drill these out and put the clicker. So this is annoying. The refurbished one isn't quite acting like an OEM. That's wasting my time, wasting customers' time, even though he paid for a good refurbished switch. So this is proof that, you know, sometimes you have to do component level repairs on these old cars because there's no other option. Let's unscrew this thing, see what's inside. Alright, let's see. 1 screw, 2 screws, third one's from the top. Okay, is it going to explode on me? No. So that looks like the paddle latch assembly, that's fine. And now this piece is the one with the hard click. Well, there's 1 clip holding it on here, right here. Okay, let me see if I can take that off. Okay. Real careful. You see there's a pretty tough spring in here and some contacts. So what we could do is take apart the old one, clean up the contacts, and send this piece of crap back, because obviously the clicky thing doesn't work as intended. So to take these switches apart, you got to grind off 1, 2, 3, and this big rivet 4. That's why this one is all trying to come apart and is reassembled with self-tapping screws. I'm wondering, can we just spray this thing with deoxit through these holes, because you can see the contacts sliding around in there. See that? We'll give it a shot. We'll bench test it. Yeah. Alright, here we go. And just slide it around. So we want to check in the up position, in position 2, if we have that continuity. Let's do that, make sure it's reliable. Alright, so testing from pin A to the motor. In position 1, we have open circuit. Position 2 is good, perfect continuity. Now it's not under load, but we're going to go with it. Now from the other side of the motor, we want to go to pin B. That's what we want to see. Position 1, position 2. Looks good. Looks excellent. Let's try position 1. Go to pin A. So we never had a problem with position 1. Position 2. Open circuit, position 1. Very good. And then the last, for position 1, let's go from pin D, A, B, C, D, to the other side of the motor. We have continuity right there. If we push the paddle, no continuity. Release the paddle. We do have continuity if we put the switch in position 2. Open circuit, position 1. Looks great. Let me just check position 2 one more time. 0 ohms, open circuit, 0 ohms, and then from the motor to pin B. Looks great. And looks great. Let's install the original motor on the car after spraying it with deoxit. It's the only thing I did. I didn't take it apart. Let's try it out. Alright, original switch is reinstalled. Let's do our little test with the test light. Sure enough, it's looking for ground on the latch. That's good. That's what we didn't have consistently before. Let's provide it with the ground and see what happens. Yes, see, this one works. And then when you do that, it stops. When you manually unlatch it, look at that. So let's stop it in the upper position. Now, when we put the top down here, boom, it should pull it down. I think this should work. Alright, moment of truth here. So, first we have to close the top. Then release this down. And just slam the top down, it should pull it down automatically. Boom, click, done. Let's try rear open. Okay, and slam it down again. Click, beautiful. One more time. I'm going to do it slowly. It works amazingly well. Guys, no parts required, just a little bit of deoxit. He can send the refurbished piece of crap back. It didn't work. We proved it. So, should have done that in the first place. But we didn't know the internals because I didn't want to take off the rivets. But with the refurbished unit, we could take it apart, see how it works. Nothing fancy, just some sliders and a spring. Clean that sucker up, exercise it. It might last another, whatever, 30 years. So that problem's fixed. Last thing we do is install the new idle speed control motor, which is on order from Rock Auto. And that will be the last piece of the puzzle for this 1993 Cadillac Allante. Alright, back to the Cadillac with the Northstar V8. Courtesy of Rock Auto, we got an AC Delco idle air control motor, or idle speed control motor. It's made in Taiwan. Looks like it should fit. Comes with a bracket and the screw and everything. So let's get the old one out and pop this one in. Make sure it moves. Make sure that check engine light doesn't come back on. So in typical GM fashion, which should be easy to replace, they always leave one fastener that's impossible to get to. That's that lower nut. You can't really get to it. I loosened it up with a wrench up top. There's no room to swing it, so I'm just using a screwdriver to undo that last nut. Hopefully we can get this thing out of here. There it comes. So let me finish that up and we'll throw on the new idle air control motor. Pain in the butt. Alright, we got old and new. As you can see, the old one has a screw, and I assume it's this one that came with the bracket. So let's just start screwing it in and see if the length of it will be appropriate. It looks a little bit longer. Go like this. But it's probably not retracted, so let's just tighten this up. I don't think there's any adjustment. Must be an 8mm. Yep, it's tight. Let's pop this one in, plug it in, see if it extends, retracts, does what it needs to do. So as you can imagine, getting the new nuts threaded onto here is not a task for people who get frustrated and don't have patience. Got it started with a magnet and a finger under here. So let's snug these down and plug it in, see if it does its thing. Alright, here we go. Here's the new idle air control motor. You guys can see the pintle movement. Let me turn the key on. Did it retract or extend or anything happen? We can fire it up. Turn the key off. Is anything interesting happening there? No? Adjusting the throttle angle. Let's try again. Yep, there it is, closing up. Alright, let's put the air cleaner back on. Take this thing for a test drive. It's a nice, healthy V8 sound. No check engine light. Look, 600 RPM. Just the way we like it. Turn on the AC. Nice smooth shift. Let's take it around the block. Wait a minute, this is a convertible. We gotta drop the top because it works now. I'm sure the owner will want to use it. So, rear open. Cover open. Now, drop it down into here, nice and careful. Cover closed. Not too bad. Let's go cruising. Let's take the old Caddy for a rip. That V8 power. Set the cruise control. Sit back and enjoy the summer. This is the way to do it. So, I think another one in the books. This is Allante number 2. Bunch of little things that added up. You know, the bill's over $2,000 for this one. At least this one ran and shifted when it got here, which is nice. Didn't need a transmission. Just needed, you know, a bunch of little stuff. So I hope everyone enjoyed that little blast from the past. People who keep these cars on the road, they are enthusiasts, and I really do respect that. You might have mixed feelings about, you know, particular brand or make or model, but still, this is pretty nice. Alright, thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.